Okay, come speak with me in a little bit and let me make sure that I have your correct email address. Especially if you're going to run for district, you will need to make sure that they're able to contact you for more information about the district and state conventions. Carter, you want to take it over?
I did do it.
Just call for a motion to accept.
All right, well, just to start off, is there a motion to accept the temporary rules as the permanent rules?
So moved.
All right, so moved. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. That's it for now. I'm now the welcome and seating of the temporary delegates, so you are now seated as temporary delegates. Welcome. Our committee chairs are the rules chair. This is Carter Griffin. He is the rules chair. Evan Berger, who you probably spoke to as you came in to register, is the chair of the convention, the credentials committee. And then Mark Olberding over here is our platform chair. He will also serve as platform chair for the district convention as well. Jessica, who was helping with registration out there, she is the arrangements chair. Jessica Fears. Fundraising, maybe. I think we'll wait. We'll do a pass the hat a little later. Just to make sure that everybody is in here. Recognition of youth delegates. We do not have any youth delegates. I would be happy to have youth delegates in the future. If you know people who want to be youth delegates, just ask them to come to our next caucus, or they can just come to any of our conventions. Youth are always welcome. The report of the credentials committee doesn't begin until 10 o'clock, so we're going to give that a few more minutes. It is now only 9:45, so we'll go ahead and pause right now until 10 o'clock when the credentials committee report can be made.
Hello everybody, I'm Linda Murken. I'm one of your county supervisors, and I just want to thank you all for investing your time today. And I'm not going to say giving of your time, because what you're doing is investing your time, and you know that. We've seen a lot of, internationally and around the world, and we've seen in our own country how democracy is fragile. The way we make democracy strong and keep it stronger is that we, at the local level, participate and help elect the people that you want representing you. Now, a brief comment about what's going on. All of the deadlines are gone now, or the deadlines have expired. It was yesterday at 5 o'clock for local offices. Our candidates for incumbents for treasurer and attorney are unopposed. There is one person who did file for county supervisor, a gentleman from Collins. I don't know very much about him. Really couldn't find out too much about him by looking, Googling him. But here's the deal. We are not going to take anything for granted here. We have a very good thing going at the county right now. We have a great team of Democratic local office holders, and we want to keep continuing to serve Story County, all of Story County, and doing the right thing. So we are going to be asking you for help, as you know. There is a clipboard over on the table, over on the north wall, and it just has my name on it to sign up. But Lisa Heddens and I are coordinating our campaigns because we want to make the best use of your time and the best use of the monies that you donate to us, and we're going to be coordinating, so that's for both of us. So please do just put your name and your phone number and your email address on that, and there's a few places to check if there's things that you would be willing to help us do. One thing I know right now is we really need to work on getting our yard sign lists updated. Anybody would be willing to call and help do that, that would be appreciated. Of course, we're going to be doing door knocking strategically throughout the county. We have some other plans that we've been working on, but we appreciate your time here today. We appreciate the time that you gave us in previous campaigns to help us represent you, and we look forward to working with you again. And I'll turn it over to Lisa.
Tell them that these are easy calls because they're calling people that want to have your yard sign.
Oh, yeah. These would be easy calls on yard signs, because there'll be people who've had yard signs for us before. So you could basically call and say, would you like to have yard signs for Linda, for Lisa, any other Democratic candidates? And it's just it's to help us get yard signs out quickly and efficiently when that time comes. And that's one thing I think it's really important. And like Maddie says, it's easy. She'll have lists. She's working with our campaign managers. They'll have it all set up for you. So please do sign up for that.
Great, thank you, and good morning, everyone. I'm surprised I actually have a voice after yelling at my TV last night, cheering on the Cyclones in the Sweet 16. Hard loss, but a great season. I'm not going to copy everything that Linda just said. I think she encapsulated it really well. We do appreciate all the support that you've given us over the years. As she said, I've never taken an election ever for granted. Even when I, as a representative, ran unopposed, I always ran as if there was going to be a write-in, and I was totally freaked out till election night. So really appreciate any type of support that you can give us. You know, we do have a good team, and we've been working well this year. It has been a little bit of an interesting year with COVID and all, and then with all the American Rescue Fund dollars. And we've been really trying to put it out there and help people throughout the county and within the various communities. We're one of the few counties in the state that actually opened up $18+ million that we received so that nonprofits and city governments could apply for some of our funds so that we could help in such areas as water quality and wastewater and expand broadband and housing and stuff throughout the county. So we'd really like to continue to be able to work on these type of important initiatives, and with your assistance, we should be able to be victorious come November. So thank you all for being out here on this chilly Saturday morning.
Jenny, talking about current politics. Yes, well, thanks for coming out on what looks like it's going to be a beautiful Saturday. And we have some challenges ahead of us. And this is the beginning, but we all need to pull together and work hard. I think in Story County, for many of us, I haven't looked at our county races, and I'm sure Lisa will update us on that, but the state races look pretty good for us, the legislative races. I don't think any of us are have an opponent that's a Republican. There's always an opportunity to get that yet, but that doesn't mean that our work is done, because it obviously doesn't do us any good to send us to the legislature unless we bring in some more Democrats. Yeah. We need Democrats from all our urban areas, we need Democrats from our suburban areas, and we need some rural Democrats. And it's really time, and you and I are going to have to work on that, because we are being given kind of an easy ride here for Story County, but we're going to have to work on that, and this is not the time to go slow. It's been a rough road in the legislature. I am always wearing my t-shirt that says "Too Dangerous to Read," because sometimes I just have to wonder what is happening to us. And this seems like the issue to me of the year that reflects that we don't want, or that the other side doesn't want children to grow up knowing about other people that didn't grow up like them, right? People who grew up in poverty, or several of the books I've been reading are, two of them at least, were based on kids growing up on a reservation. They just don't want us to know. They don't want our children to know the truth, and it just astounds me. And they're trying. I mean, they started last year with 802, which was the divisive concepts bill, saying we can't treat divisive concepts, whatever that is, right? Whatever that is. Right, nobody knows. It's so hard. And I'm going to tell you, we are at a crunch. And that's an environmental crunch. And we've got to absolutely do something. Our Environmental Protection Committee met once this year. Once to pass out a technical bill. Once. This is the problem. I mean, they don't want us to know what's going on. They don't want to clean, they just turn their face away from any real issues that we should be dealing with. Our water quality, our soil, air quality, all those things are being completely and totally ignored by the current leadership. When you can only have your Environmental Protection Committee meet once. We have $1.2 billion ending balance. But our REAP funding for environmental programs, natural resources, is status quo. It's supposed to be $20 million, I think it's 12. Right, statutorily, it's supposed to be $20 million. We've never gotten there, but we have the money. We have the resources to invest in our kids, but we're not doing it. We have the resources to invest in higher education, but we're not doing it. We have teachers who are leaving at rates that we've never seen before, and we have no one coming into those programs or lower rates of people coming into those programs. We are in trouble, and you and I are going to go out. I know you are going to be with me. Go out. We're going to hit the pavements. We're going to go door to door. We're going to get people registered. We're going to play with their really bad voting laws, and we're going to figure out a way around them, and we are going to win. Thanks for being here, and I will be planning a fundraiser here. You know, with COVID, it's just been like this, and I've been concerned, so I keep putting it off, but I believe early May will be my fundraiser, so I just told you I don't have an opponent. All my money goes to elect different Democrats, you know, Democrats from around the state. I have committed to raising $35,000 more, so I hope that you will help me. That's about 14% more than I have raised in the past. So keep that in mind as you're writing a check to my campaign, and thank you very much.
Credentials report for us.
I do. Hi everyone, in Evan Berger, Credentials Chair. Thank you all for coming. Maddie, could you go to the report tab? All right, so I'm going to give the Credentials Committee report. Our original convention size was 150 delegates. Obviously, we did not fill all those delegate spots. 42 delegates were elected at the caucuses, and there were 18 alternates elected at the caucuses. So quorum is 40% of the number of elected delegates per our rules, which sets it at 17. So we have met quorum. All right, first victory of the day. So we seated 30 delegates. We seated 8 elected alternates, so people who were elected as alternates at the caucuses. And this year our rules did allow for unelected alternates, so if a Democrat showed up, we are seating them as an alternate. There were 2 of those people, shout out to Carter and Lisa, helping us fill out our numbers. So for a grand total of 40 seated people as delegates here at the convention today. Any questions on the report? All right, I'll hand it back to Maddie.
Thank you, Evan.
Oh, and there were no challenges.
Yeah, no
Unless
challenges. Does anybody have a challenge? That normally happens at the yeah, sounds good. Okay, so now is the election of the permanent chair. I am the temporary chair, and I am automatically nominated. If there are any other nominations, you are welcome to run for permanent chair, and I will help you along if you need help going through the agenda. Are there any other nominations? I guess you should have doing this part.
I move that we close nominations.
So moved and seconded. All those in favor of electing Maddie as permanent chair, say aye.
Aye.
There we go.
Thank you for that vote of confidence. Okay, we are going to move right into our nominations for district and state convention. That was the tab that I was kind of working on a few minutes ago. And I will pull that up. There is a D in the column that says that someone has submitted a nomination. So these are the folks here. Look for your name up there and tell me if there's a misspelling, and check your phone number and your email address, please. I might have to scroll down to see 1 or 2 more. Oh, I just got one more from Sandy Upstreet. There we go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and reorder this list again so that all the delegate nominations are together, so you can look for your name again. And I'll just one last check, because the way you're going to be notified about district and state convention is going to be by email, so it's really important that we make sure that we have your correct emails here. So I will have to scroll down to see the rest of it, so everybody take a good look, find yourself.
Is Jan ready? Jan already.
Oh yeah, Jan, do you want to run for district state? We can add you on too.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't see her though.
She's over there.
Oh, okay, hi. Let's see, so. Someday I'm gonna have you show me if there's a way to order by one column and then alphabetize within.
Oh, yeah.
There probably isn't, but, okay, so. Seeing that we have fewer people nominated than we have spots.
Do we want to open it to nominations for
Yeah.
people who aren't here?
Oh, yeah, was anybody tasked with nominating someone who could not attend? Because that now would be the time to do that. Did anybody say, I can't come, but please nominate me? I nominated Mary Hartung, because she asked me to nominate her, but that's the only other one that we know of. No nominations from the floor? Going once?
Going twice. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so seeing as there are no more nominations from the floor, we are going to close nominations at this point in time. Since we have fewer nominations than we have actual delegate slots, we're just going to go ahead and do this as electing an entire slate. So,
You need a motion?
so it is.
I move that we elect the delegate slate as one.
Second.
So moved and seconded. All those say aye on that motion.
Aye.
Okay, seeing that that motion carries, now looking at that slate, all those in favor of sending that slate along to the district and state convention, say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, everyone.
Now I'd like to make a motion that anyone who is not so designated as an elected delegate, who was elected either as a delegate or an alternate at caucus, be designated as an alternate. Do I get a second on that?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Carter. Our next order of business is to elect an affirmative action committee member. No one has submitted their name for nomination. However, I am nominating Dr. Monique Benken, who has told me that she would be willing to serve on this committee. What that person does, they basically are a liaison to the state affirmative action committee, and that is chaired by the state affirmative action chair, who currently is Dr. Anita. It's not the one that is our city council member. Her name is also Anita, though. I'm sorry, her name escapes me right now. But that position actually will be elected at the state convention, and I don't know if Anita plans to run again, so it may be. Anyway, it is very much the same work that Monique does as our diversity, advocacy, and inclusion chair, so she's willing to fill that role. Are there any nominations?
Seeing none,
Go to the vote.
all right. Seeing as there are none, nominations are closed. All those in favor of electing Monique Benken as an affirmative action committee member, say aye.
Aye.
And then, I forgot about the convention members, but it's the same thing, there's a fewer amount, so we can just elect them all. For the convention committee.
All right, and additionally, we have to elect a number of people who are going to district convention for the various committees, such as what we had here: rules, platform, arrangements, credentials. As I understand it, we currently have for each of those committees fewer people nominated than there are spots for us to send. So we'll go ahead and elect them as a slate. All those in favor of electing this slate, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion passes.
Where's the district convention going to be held this year?
It is going to be a virtual event that will be done via Zoom and Google Docs, similar to the way we did in 2020. So the date of that should be April 26th, 23rd, April 23rd.
State convention's the 18th.
The 18th of June is the state convention. That will be an in-person, probably at the Iowa Event Center. That's where it's been in previous years. And you'll get emails about that from the credentials committees of those.
District convention, $22 delegate fee, state convention, $40 delegate.
Yes, there's a delegate fee of $22 for the district convention, and then the state convention, it's usually around $40 or $45, I'm not sure, but. So, we are only at 10:15, and we are gonna be, having, Admiral Franken come at 11, and so, we can watch some videos of other candidates who are not able to attend. Would you rather go on to platform now, folks? I'm fine, we can go ahead and complete our business if you like. Okay, let's welcome our platform chair, Mark Orberding. Oh, okay.
I only got 2 hands maybe, thanks. Okay, I don't know if everybody downloaded the platform in the numbered version or not, so I'm going to be, when we go through the controversial ones and the minority report at the end, I'll refer you to both the line number and to the page in the pamphlet so that you can follow along. We did not receive any additional blanks from the floor today, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through each section, that is the government and laws, education, agriculture, all that. And it is, except for the controversial or minority reports, it's a strictly up or down vote. There's no amending it, there's no debating it, it's just do we approve it or we don't approve it. And it's simple majority. So, first I want to go to the statement of principles. This is, and I'm actually going to not take credit that I didn't do it, but the people who worked on this, especially Cynthia, did a hell of a good job. Oh, there she is. Okay, I can see. It was, we're always told the unwritten rule is don't change the principles because they're supposed to be. This is so much better than anything we've ever seen before. I'm going to do what I can to get it adopted at state.
All right.
It is that good. So, all in favor of adopting the new statement of principles, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Let's go on to agriculture then, except for anything that's controversial, and I'm not aware of anything that's controversial in agriculture. All in favor of the agricultural section, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Okay. Here's where I get confused, because I always forget what comes next. Okay, next is economy, commerce, and labor. All in favor of adopting the economy, commerce, and labor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, that one passes too. Okay. Next we have government and laws. Again, there's minority planks in here or controversial.
Oh, education.
I'm seeing education is next.
Education?
What have I done
Oh, thank you.
I don't think there was any.
I think I passed one. Oh well.
Probably because
No,
there
you're
are debatable ones.
you're
When I get to be perfect, someone will let me know, and so far, dead silence. Okay, education. All in favor of the education as written, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Now we'll get to that pesky government and laws. Okay, there are a few things in there, but accepting those. All in favor of the government and laws section, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
I have what is the National Popular Vote Compact?
That will be explained, that one's controversial, that'll be explained by the people when we do that. Yeah, we're voting on everything except the controversial or minority report. Okay, after that is immigration, I believe. Internationals. Yeah, you can go through faster than I can.
I feel like I'm really slow here going through. Immigration? Is that where I'm supposed to be?
No, that's part of the government
That's part of
laws.
government law.
I think international. Health and Human Services. Sorry, Judith, we get that one. Anyway, all in favor of the Health and Human Services, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Okay, that passes. Now I think we get onto that international one.
Yes.
And that is the last one before we get to the controversial or debatable programs.
Excuse me, I general comment about a number of different things in here. Can we include what the actual acronyms are? There's so many acronyms that there's a number of them I didn't know what they were referring to throughout the, well, like say on the energy and climate change, 83, GHG, what, I don't know what that is.
Greenhouse gases.
Oh, okay. But there's throughout the entire document, there's a
We
number
can-
of different acronyms that I.
We can't do it on the fly, but we can certainly include an appendix that has the acronyms.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we had a look, well,
Whatever works.
we'll do something like that so we'll know what it is going forward. I guarantee district and state will have that, because if you think we're acronym heavy. Okay, anyway, international. Is there anybody, oh,
Am I in the right
favor?
spot here? I'm sorry. Can you give me a pocket line number?
Yeah, just a sec.
Sorry.
Oh, no
I've
problem.
lost my space.
It is at the very end, this is the last one. And we start at line 544.
There we go.
Okay, international affairs. All in favor of international affairs, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And
That's
opposed?
the big one, and that's the one.
Okay, that covers it. Now,
Both of them.
the next part, I'm gonna sit down because I gotta be flipping paper. There's, to my knowledge, 3 controversial minority reports.
There might have been 4, but.
I couldn't find the 4th one, but
Okay.
I've been, like I
I'll
said,
search by word to find
I've
it.
been wrong, I've been wrong before a few times. Just ask my wife. Okay. So, the first one that I'm aware of is under government and law. On the conference packet, it is page 18. And on the platform committee report, and I'm sorry it's so small printing because, well, I hate Word. It is line 247. Yeah, line 247.
There we go.
Now, this is, we support passing the National Popular Vote Compact. And that was controversial. We will be doing this, as Maddie said, there'll be 6 minutes allocated, 3 speakers on one side, 1 minute each, 3 speakers on the other side, 1 minute each. They will alternate. And if we run out of one side or the other, that ends the debate. We're not going to have one person speaking and 3 people saying opposed. So, is there anybody who wishes to speak in favor of we support passing the National Popular Vote Compact?
I just have a question of what that even is.
Can anybody explain that one? I don't, okay, yeah, that's yours.
Me?
No,
Oh, sorry.
platform.
So the national.
Here, let me,
Keep the mic.
yeah, I'm walking, just not this quick. And you really gotta swallow this thing.
So this isn't my claim, but I do support it and I do understand what it's about. So the National Popular Vote Compact is kind of, the idea around it is to get the elections of presidential candidates to be based on the popular vote instead of an electoral college vote. And this specific compact goes around us needing to have a new constitutional amendment by each state passes it individually. And once enough states pass it that they pass the threshold for the electoral college, it goes into effect. And those states will vote, instead of giving their electoral college votes, they'll vote based on the popular vote.
Okay.
Say that again?
It's basically now getting, it's the National Popular Vote, getting rid, pretty much rid.
They switch once they hear the total.
Right.
But it
Or
would
state
not
popular vote.
require a constitutional amendment?
No, that's not like.
We don't believe so.
It's an end run around it.
Yeah. Okay, we've had one vote, or we've had one, and thank you for the explanation. Is there anybody who wishes to speak against this? Okay?
So do I stand up or what?
You can stand, just.
As long as we can hear you.
Real close. So, can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I think that the Electoral College is an outdated, antiquated system. But I do think that the National Popular Vote Compact is undemocratic. if the people of Illinois or Colorado or other states pass this and they choose to elect somebody to be their president, then that state's electoral votes, whether we agree with them or not, should go to that candidate. I think that a constitutional amendment is in order to make the Electoral College obsolete, but we should not be subverting the will of the people, whether we agree with them or not, at the state level. So that's my only opinion in opposition to it. Thank you.
Is there another person to speak in favor of this?
Carter was just there.
Okay.
Do you want to, Susie?
No, go ahead.
I'd suggest it's a very simple principle that elections at all levels should be determined on the basis of one man, one vote. As is, while we benefit from it quite a bit, there are still plenty of states where it's even more ludicrous, so that, for example, a state like Montana, with a population of less than 1 million, anyone living in that state gets a greater level of representation in a presidential election than to say someone living in California with a population of 40 million. Again, the principle should be one man, one vote, and rather than this constant stream of presidents we've had for the past 2-3 decades, where despite losing the popular vote, they still managed to win the presidency, that should be amended through the passage of this National Popular Vote Compact, so as to ensure that going forward, the President of the United States is the man or woman who wins the most votes across the entire country.
Are you going to speak in favor or against?
Against,
Okay.
unless somebody else was in.
No, you by all means.
I understand the rationale behind this, but I do think that, as an example, here in Iowa, we've kind of lost western Iowa because we have ignored and not put effort into keeping our our democratic relationships going there. And while I think there needs to be a lot of adjustments with the Electoral College, I think that the Electoral College needs, like I said, needs to be adapted so it's more reflective of the population. But
10 seconds.
But it serves us well in terms of still maintaining some connection with Iowa politics and not just having everything determined on both coasts.
Okay, we've had 2 in favor, 2 opposed. Is there a third in favor?
I'll try it.
And you'll succeed.
And you're gonna help. Okay. All right. My name is Judy Lemage. I'm from Ames. My thought, as he was speaking here, is maybe a guess that this popular vote compact, National Popular Vote Compact, would still have to be voted on by a majority of the states. So you wouldn't have this 2 states saying, yeah, we're going to do the National Popular Vote, and the rest are going back to the Electoral College. It's going to be either or. So my thought was it's still going to be a democratic process. And I agree with everybody who has already said this. The Electoral College, we have lost several elections because the rest of us, everybody has been voting for Democratic candidates, but our wishes are not heard. So this is the best way to get everybody their rights. That's all.
One final speaker opposed to the proposal, who hasn't spoken already. Oh, there we go.
Well, the Electoral College is not a perfect item. If we go to national popular vote, then it will marginalize Iowa, because there'll be, on the coast, that's where the population is. It'll leave out everybody in the middle.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that concludes debate on this proposal. So now we're going to go to the vote. All in favor of the plank as stated, we support passing the National Popular Vote Compact. Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. It passes. The next controversial plank is line 256. It is on page 19 of your book, your convention book. And it goes to 256. We oppose a constitutional convention. Now again, there'll be
Yeah, that's
we-
just a technical fix.
The typing errors are strictly mine. But basically, we oppose a constitutional convention. And I want, again, 3 speakers. Someone in favor of this amendment or this plank? Anybody wishes to speak on it?
There's a question, is this state or national or both?
National.
May I ask
Anybody?
you a question?
Yeah.
Constitutional convention with regard to what?
Yes.
Yes.
A constitutional convention.
Okay.
Question, you want to speak?
Yeah, I'll start. I'm for it.
You're in for it, okay?
Okay. I'm for this because it opens a kettle of fish. It's like like a legislation where they slip in something at the end. You can have a constitutional convention for item A, but once you get there, unseen items can be brought in. And I think in today's environment of polar opposites, it would be a possible disaster.
Okay, that was a speech in favor of the, we oppose a constitutional convention. Is there anybody who wants to take that out of the platform?
So I am actually against this plank because there has been a push for a council commission in regards to having an amendment. Because we can't get an amendment passed to get money out of politics, there is a pack called Wolfpack that has been trying to push for a constitutional convention to get that through. My arguments against the whole runaway convention idea is that it still needs 2/3 to pass. So it'll have enough scrutiny that any shenanigans that the Republicans try will get trounced.
We have one speech in favor and one speech against. Now I'm looking for someone who wants to keep this plank in. Okay, ma'am, you want to keep the plank in?
Yes, because when the Constitution was written, the idea was that it would be fluid and that we would be able to amend it as time went on. That's why it's somewhat ambiguous. And if you take the constitutional conventions out, then you have no means for adjusting for changes in our society.
No, so she was against it. So she was against
I'll
it.
take that as one that was against this, so. Okay, yeah, I wasn't going to interrupt. Okay, no problem.
Ross, you can sit up here.
It only takes 7 more states to pass this, so we are really concerned. This is a constitutional convention has been proposed by the Koch brothers, by the Mercer family, by Alec. That should give you a heads up. Once we would pass that, it would open up everything. You cannot control that they aren't going to take away your access to health care, marriage equality, environmental protections, a woman's right to choose, well, that's already, Social Security and Medicare voting rights. So we really, truly need to pass what you see here.
We've now had, I believe, 2 in favor of keeping the plank, 2 opposed. So I'll take a speaker either in favor or opposed who's not previously spoken. Okay, sir.
Yeah, you don't want to burn down, I'm for leaving this in because you don't want to burn down the house to try to build a different house. And this will open it wide open. I mean, if you do a constitutional convention, you'll open it up for anything. They could take away the right for the black people to even be counted as a person again. Go back to the, what was it? 2/3? 3/4, yes, thank you. So, it'd be crazy to open it up to these Republicans to burn down the house.
Okay, is there anybody who wishes to strike this from the plank, who has not spoken? You want to strike it? Okay, Tom?
Yes, we have a constitution which was written in 1789 or so. It no longer truly represents any kind of sort of democratic system. The Senate is not democratic, the electoral college is not democratic. It is extremely, and for those who say we have an amendment process, it's extremely difficult to get amendments through. We really need to revise the whole Constitution and get into the 20th century. And you can shake your heads all you want, but we still need to do it.
Thank you very much. That would be the last speech. As chair, I do get to do this. I'm just imagining Margie Taylor Greene at the Constitutional Convention. Okay, let's go to a vote now. All in favor of keeping this plank in the platform, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it.
We're going to pause and hear from our state chair.
Sure.
Is it afternoon? It's still morning.
Depends on where you are.
That's true. It's afternoon somewhere. So good morning, Democrats.
Good morning.
It's great to see you. It's great to be seen. Am I speaking as chair? Am I speaking as a candidate?
Either, whatever you want to do.
I guess I wear all hats. Speaking of hats, you know, we do have a merch on the line. So look, it's. I just want to thank all of you for being involved with the party, not just the state party, but here in Story County. Story County's been a tremendous leader. I want to thank you all for helping get myself and other candidates on the ballot and taking the initiative to help get our statewide, as well as someone to challenge Feenstra. You set a model and a standard for all the counties around the state. They followed your lead for those drive-up petition signing, so that really is meaningful. As state chair before a primary, I can't endorse anyone for primaries, but I know that there are folks here who are working very hard for candidates across the state. I want to thank you all for your involvement there. Two things I want to say. One, just in order to keep up with what's happening, or just things from me or the State Central Committee, please go onto the webpage and sign up for the Demo Memo. It's a weekly newsletter, and I know our mailbox get full, but sign up for it. If you don't want to read it, go ahead and delete it. But at least that way, if something comes up, when something comes up that you heard about or are reading in the paper, which lately you're reading a lot about the paper, some based on fact, a lot based on innuendo, but it's a great place to not only hear a couple top-line messages from me, but there's a section called Top Talkers, which is a messaging and branding portion of the newsletter, so that we really want those of you who are active on social media to help push out. There's tools there for you to have at that. And when you're having conversations, those one-to-one conversations with our friends, neighbors, there's some things that you can pull from there. And in particular, when we're trying to get some of those no-party voters or independent voters, we've done some research. That no-party or independent voter, they're not. I'm spacing on the word. It's not a uniform block. I mean, there's a third of them in Iowa who no way, no how would vote for a Democrat, and in some cases we're not sure what they're voting for. But again, that's a resource for all of you. The second thing, it's definitely a considered effort. It's no surprise that what you see happening in Washington, D.C., with the Republican Party battling amongst itself. President Biden likes to say we're a battle for the soul of the country. They are battling for the soul of their party, and those who are not battling within the Republican Party, which is most of them, they know better than some of the bills that are coming forward. And it's not just happening in Washington, D.C. It's happening right in Des Moines in the State House and the State Senate. There are bills that are coming up that, we've had conversations with some of our Republican colleagues. I know you disagree with this bill. I know that, you do not think it's the right thing to do to criminalize teachers. It's not the right thing to fight against things like the bottle bill to try and keep, our landfills from filling up and our roadways filling up. We know that you do not think it's a good idea to gut unemployment, but they're so fearful and craving to stay in power that they're not doing anything to stop that. And so it's definitely a drain. It's a battle. I think I saw Beth, Wessel, Kroeschell. She may have left by now. But she and I continue to keep in communication so that we can try and do our best to represent you. Every vote that we take is, you may not agree with it, but hopefully you know that we are there fighting on your behalf for good jobs, for healthcare, education, the environment, and bottom line, which is dear to my heart, civil rights. Because without civil rights, I don't remember the name of the poem, but if we're not fighting for each other and supporting each other, then who's going to be left to support you as an individual? So it's just critical for the work that you are doing. Continue to give your time, energy, effort. If you see a candidate, here in the primary and obviously in the general election that you support, I'm talking, not just our statewide and our great candidate for governor, Deidre DeJear, but even in other counties. If you see someone that speaks to your heart, to your values, give them money now because it doesn't do any good in October. People are wanting to see ads, they're wanting to see that ground game, which we're so good at. But the fun, it does take money, and that happens right now. So thank you all again for your involvement, and I am running for House District 50, so I'll have to get used to a new number. But continue to send the emails. My clerk is making sure that I'm seeing those, that he's giving summaries, and we'll continue to work and fight. Thank you.
Thanks, Ross. We're going to give it back over to Mark now. Right on the right page.
Okay, the next controversial one, or minority report that I'm aware of.
Excuse me, sorry.
Yeah.
Before we move forward, I have a couple comments I'd like to make while Ross is still here. Can I do that?
That's
sure.
You really got to
I'm Sandy Upstreet from Story City. I really appreciate everything the legislature is doing for public education and the teachers. What I would like to see is when we are talking as legislators and as Democrats, if we put more of a focus on teachers and support staff, the custodians, the associates, the nutrition folks, secretaries, maintenance people. Their jobs are incredibly grueling, and the violence in the school districts have escalated, and it seems like we talk about teachers, but don't include the whole gamut of all the folks working in our school systems, and each and every one of them need our support and our help. And so if the legislature could please start including those in their conversations, I think that would be really helpful. Thank you.
Absolutely, well said, and I'll make sure to pass it on. I'm a little tired from call time this morning. I got to get back to it, but usually I will do that. In fact, my son is a custodian maintenance at North Central High School in North Liberty. So in fact, all of us know there's that cafeteria worker, there's that nurse. There's even just all across the board that you connected with you as an individual to help you make it through school. So thank you all. Yeah, and thanks, Sam.
Okay, now for the next one, it's a minority report, but we'll just treat it as controversial. It is on your convention booklet, page 22, or it is line 353 in the platform report. And it says, was I didn't want to do this. We support the Judiciary Act of 2021. We support the Judiciary Act of 2021. Is there someone to speak in favor of this plank?
Could someone explain it for us?
Susie, well, actually, when I said it, someone to speak about it, I said Susie. I should have just said Susie.
Thank you. This is to expand the Supreme Court, and by the way, the Republicans are branding this as packing, which it is not. Let me explain. The number of Supreme Court judges has fluctuated. It is not constitutional. It can be any number. We have had it as 9 since 1869, but in 1869, there were only 37 states. There are now 50, possibly 51 soon. In 1869, we only had 38 million people. We now have 332 million people. The population has increased immensely. The number of Supreme Court judges initially was, the number of appellate judges is 13, and
10 seconds.
The Supreme Court should be about the same. We really do need to increase it because the work has enlarged. And so there are lots of ways to do it, but obviously we don't need to stay at 9, and it is not fair that one president now has had 3.
We're really short on time. We need to be, really stick to that.
Okay, do you have a question?
Yes, the Judiciary Act.
Okay, the Judiciary Act, in its essence, will be to expand the Supreme Court by adding additional justices.
Yeah.
I mean, that in a nutshell. It's,
Indeterminate number of.
I think it's asking for 4, but I'm not really sure. It is 4. They want to add.
So it's the same as the appellate number.
Yeah, they want to add an additional 4 justices to the Supreme Court. Okay, is there anybody who wishes to speak against this? Okay, I'm going to speak against it then, because I did at the original meeting. For those of you who don't know, I'm a trial attorney. And there's 2 things I don't like about the Judiciary Act of 2021. First of all, it does look like court packing. You can call it, it isn't, and I can call a rose a steam flower and people are going to turn their noses up at it. Same thing here. It looks bad. It looks like we're sore losers. Second of all, increasing the number of justices does not mean cases are going to get decided any faster or it'll be more efficient. Because the appellate judges are 1 judge, 3 judge, the entire panel. If we move to a court system with 14 people or 13 people on it, and we go to individuals, panels, or the entire thing, there's 2 more levels of appeal. They'll slow things down. And if we do it all in bank, that is, everybody decides everything, then it's not going to go any faster. We just have more people talking. Thank you. Is there another speaker to speak in favor of the we support the Judiciary Act of 2021? I'm not seeing any, so we'll put it to a vote. All in favor of keeping we support the Judiciary Act of 2021 in the platform, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are those opposed?
Nay.
The nays appear to have it. The nays do have it.
Move for a division.
Okay, the division has been called. What I'm going to ask then, if possible, if you are in favor of keeping this in the platform, please signify by raising your arm and keeping it there until I tell you to drop it, because I got to count. Is your arm up? Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I see 9.
11.
Oh, okay. 11. You're behind. I don't have eyes in the back behind me, in the back of my head, despite what my kids may have thought at one point. Okay, I see 11. All who want to strike this from the platform, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I don't think I have to count any further than that. It fails and it will be removed. To my knowledge, that are the only controversy or minority reports in the platform.
I went through and searched by word, and there are not anymore.
Okay, good. I was a bit nervous. In any event, Madam Chairman, I believe that we are done with the platform committee, with the platform, and it is approved.
I sure appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and do our hat pass now, and then we will move on to watching a few videos of some of our candidates as we wait for one of the candidates that was able to attend is going to be coming. So kind of just, I guess I can walk all the way around that way. Somebody doesn't have to pass around. Yeah.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming on out. Thank you for your involvement with the Democratic Party. Thank you for, in advance, for all the work that you're going to do on the campaigns this year. I have a campaign of my own. I filed my papers a week ago and getting geared up to go on ahead. Haven't pulled a Republican opponent yet, but they can do that up through the middle of August. So I'm going to be out knocking on doors. That's what I got to do anyway, right? Because campaign, really, if you do run a campaign the way it should be, it's going out and listening to your constituents, hearing what they want you to do, hearing what they think you did well, and maybe what they think you didn't do so well. I'm sorry to report, but no surprise to any of you, the legislature hasn't been doing very well of late. You all know that one of my principal involvements is in education. I chaired the Education Committee for 6 years. In the last 5, I've been the ranking member when the other party has been in control. And the record there is just awful. Let's start with school funding. The cumulative record over the last 5 years of Republican misrule is that they have shortchanged schools by $500 million. $500 million short of just staying up with inflation. Forget about any improvements, forget about any increases. They haven't even kept up with inflation to the tune of $500 million. You look at the universities, they haven't kept up with inflation there either. They've actually cut some dollars. The total there, cumulatively, 5 years, $1/3 billion. You add those two things up, and you get 2/3 of the so-called surplus that the governor claims that she has accumulated. Most of that, 2/3 of that, has come at the expense of shortchanging our kids' education, K-12, community college, and university. Now, the record going forward is even worse. The increase for K-12 this year, per pupil amount, that's the key amount. That's what we vote on every February. The amount, the state cost per pupil, what school districts are allowed to spend. 2.5% increase coming for this coming year in the face of 7% inflation. So schools are going to have to cut about another 4.5% in terms of resources. That means not as much in the way of new computers, in terms of new resources, in terms of hiring teachers and paying them adequately. We've got to do better than that. We've got to do better than that. We have to pay teachers competitively. All right, there are a lot of teachers who are getting out of the profession early. Gee, you wonder why. When the president of the Iowa Senate says they have a sinister agenda and implies that they do nothing but promote pornography to kids. What a disgrace. We need to avoid vouchers. Public dollars need to go to public schools. All vouchers are going to do for our rural schools is accelerate the rate at which students and dollars are leaving those schools, and that only serves to accelerate the rate of consolidation. How many times have I heard from people on local school boards or just people in small towns, if we lose our school, we lose our town. And that has to be right. I mean, what young couple would ever settle in a small town that didn't have a school for the family that they want to start? That's crazy. We also have to let our teachers teach American history, all of American history. And we got to let our girls play sports, all of our girls. At the university level, we've been interfering with teaching as well, trying to dictate what we can and cannot discuss in the way of controversial subjects. We've got to get that out of there. We have to restore the funding The House Budget Education Appropriations Committee passed out their budget this year. No increase at all for the universities. A couple little projects here and there, a computer security program at Iowa State, which is a good idea, but no general increase. So how are the universities going to cope with that? I tell the students, put your hand behind you, reach into your back pocket, pull out your wallet. Because that's how they're going to do it. Or tell your parents to do that. Increasing tuition. I also found out in the last couple of weeks, I asked the universities for a little update on this. Do you realize that at Iowa State University, half of the departments over the last 5 years have had a double-digit decrease in the number of tenured or tenure-track faculty? 10% or more decrease, some as much as 33% decrease in just the last 5 years. You're hollowing out the universities.
They cut rural sociology.
They cut rural sociology. They cut a lot of things. I'd be happy to share the list with you. So where are we going to train our skilled workforce in the future? Where are we going to train our skilled workforce in the future? The governor wants to beat up on people collecting unemployment compensation. That doesn't deal with the workforce issue. You look at the 85,000 jobs that this state has lost over the last 2 years of the pandemic, and only 10% of those folks are classified as unemployed. Why? Because to be unemployed, you have to be looking for a job. 90% of the people, the workers we've lost, aren't even looking for a job anymore. All right? And if you're not looking for a job, you're clearly not collecting unemployment. And even of the ones who are classified as unemployed, you also have to have worked enough and earned enough recently to qualify. Only a quarter of those classified as unemployed are collecting unemployment compensation. So when you get down to it, the people who are collecting unemployment compensation only represent 2.5% of those who've lost jobs or have left the workforce during the pandemic. And despite, so she's beaten up on only 2.5% of the problem, and then she's calling them lazy. Talk about kicking people when they're down. You know that in Iowa, we lead the nation, have for a long time, in the percentage of two-parent families where both parents are employed outside the home. So Reynolds indulges in rhetoric about a safety net becoming a hammock. She's calling them lazy. Let's lay it on the line. Iowans are not lazy. Something like 57% of farm families. I can't think of any harder job than running a farm. 57% of farm families have off-farm employment on top of that. On top of running the farm, they're working at a job in town. Just amazing. So we gotta get a new state government. I'm working as hard as I can down there to limit the damage, but I need some help. I'm asking for your support and your help this year. But if I don't draw an opponent, I'm going to be doing a lot of door knocking, not only in my own district. I'm going to be doing a lot of door knocking for some other really well qualified candidates. We have done remarkably well at recruiting candidates for the Democratic candidates for the Iowa Senate. So I appreciate your support. I thank you for all your past support. I'm looking forward to the campaign this year, and I'm looking forward to some Democratic victories. With your help, we're going to get it done. And I'd be happy to take any questions if anybody has a quick one or two.
Thank you for all those statistics, by the way.
Yeah, I'm kind of a numbers guy. What can I tell you? Recovering economist as well. All right, well, look, thank you again for all your support.
Thanks, Herman. I was just told that
Michael Franken has arrived. I'm gonna go out, he's still outside, maybe chatting with somebody. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just play a quick video while we're waiting for him to come in.
Hi there, good people. It's Deidre DeJear here, and I am running to be our state's next governor. But first and foremost, I want to thank you for showing up to our county conventions this weekend. Now, whether you're in person or you're virtual, you're showing up because you are committed to seeing change happen all over this state. This election cycle is going to be incredibly challenging. We've all got dreams and wishes that we want to see happen in 2023, whether it's more affordability in healthcare, whether it's access to mental health care services. Maybe it's our commitment to our students to ensure that we have an education system that's truly preparing them for a limitless future. Whatever that issue may be, but perhaps it's climate, perhaps it's mental health care, whatever that issue may be, you're showing up in these moments so that we can get the work done in this year and see those things happen in 2023. And so I am glad that you are staying committed to this effort, but I want you to know one thing. The challenges that we're going to see over the course of this election cycle will not be challenges that I myself am going to overcome alone. We do this collectively. We do this together. There is a great deal that we share related to our challenges, but there is a great deal that we share related to our values. These are the moments, folks, where we are in lockstep and connected with each other. Remember those folks that you invited to be a part of a political event in the past? Remember those folks that you wanted to be present today? Don't give up on those people. Don't give up on them. Isaac Newton said, if I see farther, it is because I stand on the shoulders of giants. You all are the giants. You all are the stewards that will lead people to believe in their voice again. The folks that believe the system is rigged and that their voice doesn't matter, their vote doesn't count. The way that they will get connected in this democracy is because of people like you. The fact of the matter is, our democracy only works when people participate, and I'm glad that you are here and you are committed to participating. I want you to not only participate in this democracy, I want you to help me and volunteer so that we can get over the finish line. So go to DeJearforIowa.com, volunteer. You can commit your treasure, you can commit your talent, whatever you want to commit. But I am glad, again, that we're in this together. And thank you for not giving up on Iowa, because there's no reason to count this state out.
Yeah, it has to be right up there.
Can you hear me without this?
No.
Move the, wear headphones or you shoot your rifle.
Hard of hearing.
Oh, me too.
Don't make fun of me.
No, I'm not. No, I won't. I got the same issues. Gas turbines. Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Michael Franken. Following Deidre is always hard. And I don't want to be a downer, so we'll keep this, I think, lighthearted, and then I have a little bit of time to ask some Q&As as well.
Sure.
Okay, great. Okay, so what I prefer to do is a rather truncated speech or stump speech, and then open it up, because when you ask questions, I get a lot out of that, and I still need this as we go pushing down to November. So my name's Michael Franken. I'm a problem for the GOP. Born and raised in rural Iowa, northwest corner, hard up against the South Dakota border. My mother was a family seamstress, school teacher, etc. for all 9 of us kids. Yes, indeed, we made our own soap out of lard. I know how to do these things. I know how to button buttons when the buttons are on the wrong side, because I had 6 sisters just older than me. Mom sometimes would forget it was for her son. But fortunately, I never had shirts with darts in them. But that was my life growing up. It was a great existence. My father came back from World War II, handy with his hands as a wounded vet, and started a machine shop as far from any town as he could, so that he could have a captive audience in fixing farm implements. He was the 5th of the sons and didn't have a family farm to go back to. Great existence, as you would expect. Construction work, farm work, machinist. People ask, what were some of your crowning achievements in life? I came to adulthood with all 10 fingers from my dad's machine shop. Not an easy chore. Ultimately, I was scratching my way through college, working at a slaughterhouse. My brother had joined the Navy many years ago during Vietnam, and said, before going to medical school, why don't you serve your country a little bit? have a nice time of things. Did that, took a scholarship test, got accepted, and started a 39-year career in the United States Navy. Retired as a 3-star admiral, commanded forces worldwide, a lot of policy, strategy jobs, ship captain, etc. Work early on in the Clinton administration, finding loose fissile materials, cooperative threat reduction, conventional arms reductions, etc., east of the Urals. So rather germane for what's going on in Ukraine today. And this is a time for very serious candidates. I think those of you who are of my era, who grew up in the crouch exercises of the Soviet time, we are not so far from that. Ultimately, as the Democratic Party, we want to become that party that is responsible for democracy. Patriotism is a good thing. The future of the next generation is first and foremost. And those things we represent. It's not the GOP of yesterday. They are on some other track. Ultimately, I submitted my request to resign when Donald Trump was elected, having served every president since Jimmy Carter. I chose not to work with him. I voted with my feet. This is an opportunity, though, in the post-January 6 environment. This swirling darkness still exists in society today. Make no mistake about it. This is a time when, after defending our way of life, democracy worldwide, we're back at it. This time is from within. So, time for serious candidates. This is a great time, as Deidre DeJear mentioned, to be a Democrat. The foundations of the GOP are crumbling. Where would you be as a Senate candidate in the GOP today? Certainly not Senator Grassley. Certainly not Joni Ernst. What do they do for Iowa? It's a tough answer to that. We represent the pro-democracy, pro-business with a fair tax code, pro-environment, renewed energy grid in the state of Iowa, education, health care, the type of health care that I received and most of my family did as well, preventive, dental, mental, palliative even, in the United States military. This is something that everybody in the United States ought to have. It's overdue. This is the time after this pandemic to institute this. How to get there? This is a policy issue. This is a legislative issue. That's a challenge for this next generation, the next 10 years. But we should do this. Here in Story County, I would like to see this area of the United States become the forefront of technical innovation, of renewed and more sustainable agriculture. And this is infinitely doable. We've got this administration and the next to make this happen. All right, I'm here to win this. You will see our April numbers will be exceedingly positive. I believe we will make national news. This is our time. This is our time for Democrats across the board. I anticipate going to Washington, D.C. with three Democrat House members. We will be simpatico in helping each other, working across the demographics. People who hold sway in this next election are the independents. They're the ones who go 22% for Donald Trump in one election from 20% for Obama the previous election. Those we must appeal to. Those, I think, are finished with the GOP. Let's grasp this. Let's change the level of progressivism in the state of Iowa forever. I'm happy to answer your questions to the best of my ability. I'll be quick as best I can. Yes, sir.
Can you give us a short course of the maritime situation with respect to Lithuania or Ukraine?
You know, only in Iowa do you get these questions. So the other day, I'm going to hold to that, but I got to tell another story. So I was in Decatur County, 7,200 people. Largest town is Leon. I think they say 2,200. I'm not so sure that's true. But I got questions from what's the probability of instituting liquid thorium reactors during my lifetime in our energy grid? How long will it take for the various levels of genus and species of wildlife to appear below the earthworm if we go all organic in farming? How soon can the International Criminal Court indict Vladimir Putin? And lastly, how do you institute a $10 or $15 minimum wage in a small town Iowa? This are the questions you get. And here in the shadow of Iowa State, you get a maritime question. Thank you for asking. I tweeted out a couple days ago, I mentioned this past week was the first extent from Iowa campaign trip that we did along the East Coast at the behest of a couple of individuals and organizations. And I've been talking up a forcible evacuation of civilians from Mariupol in particular and other Black Sea ports. And you develop a consortium of like-minded nations. EU is a great opportunity. Others to force the issue on Putin. And I don't want to go into the armchairing of this, but having done something very similar to this a few times, it is our opportunity to force his hand. Similarly, we have the ability, and I headed up the High Technology Task Force for DoD, looking at how an entity such as ISIS, something else, or a nation can overturn us as a country, how we can overturn others using full spectrum cyber, space, critical infrastructure denigration, media manipulation, messaging, etc., etc., etc. Assassinations, terrible things. It's time to expose each Russian unit in Russia doing what they're doing, naming the commander, naming where the commander is from. We can do this. You say, no, we know this. Highlighting what they're doing, highlighting what they just did on social media. What does that do? It makes the military commander queasy, as what should be done. It's time to go over the top. If we don't do something very, very close, very soon in Ukraine, it's going to be a dystopian wasteland. And we don't want that. We have implications here in Iowa, what's happening now. And regarding the sea lines of communication, these can be arrested, as you know, the Montreux Conventions, etc. We have the fabulous opportunity here to utilize the existing conventions with an odd groupage of countries to call Putin's bluff. We can talk further probably offline regarding what you're really talking about. Okay, next. Sorry, going on a bit. This is a complicated issue. Sure.
For funding your campaign, are you relying on small dollar donations or PACs or?
He's not a plant. Thank you for asking. We are averaging over 1,000 new donors a week. We are averaging right around from 600 to 850 donors a day. The average donation is from $20 to $35. We take no corporate PAC money at all. We've taken no PAC money, period. We are expressly small donors. We have smiled at the fact how Iowans have opened up their wallets. We run an exceedingly efficient campaign. Our burn rate is, I believe, the lowest. And that's a very, very good thing. You can take in all this money, but if you burn it, you don't have any cash on hand. We will, I think, transcend all others in cash on hand here by some measure. So yes, the individual. Thanks for asking. Ma'am.
What exactly do you bring to the table as far as attracting those independent voters that you need to win in Iowa?
The question, what do I bring to the table to attract the independent voter in Iowa? How about sanity? Sorry. Instead of attacking things like education, there's no Democrat out there that's talking about defunding the police. But there's a large political entity who represent a minority but are pushing their wishes on the majority to defund education, to be hurtful to major segments of the population, to singular pull-out individuals who are in a situation of life that makes them more troubled with their own existence. It's not Iowa values. It's terrible. It's a sin. Shame on them. I represent a mature, educated, scientific basis, and I think the ability to speak with whoever. Born from homesteaders, had this great opportunity, compliments of Iowa, compliments of our structure in Iowa, compliments to a mom who made us read, to do what I did. And then I believe the things that make a candidate successful, a politician successful, being principled, pragmatic, and most importantly, empathetic. The basic premise of being a Democrat, caring as much for those you've never met as those you know. Learned. And the big challenge is, that you didn't mention, but I think what the next question would be, how do you reach those people? How do you break through this odd wall of disinterest? And as I said to the guy that I grew up with in Lebanon, Iowa, just last week, with my sisters there, my wife, who's back in the corner, Franken, I love you, but I'll never vote for you because you're a dean, a Democrat. Orland, I love you like a brother, happy for you, I love your family. I'm going to be the best senator you've ever known and help you and represent you in the next generation. Thank you for staying in Iowa. That's the plan, that's the difference. I'm not going to hate anybody, I represent everybody, whether they like it or not. And the key is to convince Iowans to start voting for their own best interest, which you've got this huge population base that consistently doesn't do that. Fox News. Sir.
Give me an idea of where you've been campaigning. You said you've been all the way down to Decatur County. So what other counties have you maybe reached in the last few weeks?
I think we've been to 39 that we visited thus far. So the campaign plan at this stage, sir, is, so the question was, what other counties have you been to? We spend 4 days in the office, 3 days on the road. In April, we start the Road to Victory, which flip-flops at 3 in the office, 4 on the road. Iowa's unique. Iowa, you'll have somebody say to you, you know, you've never spent the night at my house, so why would I vote for you? Holy cow. So, you know, I guess I just don't want to sleep in the laundry room with your dog. What's
wrong with my dog?
No, nothing's wrong with your dog. He's big and furry. I'm fine with that.
Small.
So we've been to, so we're on the road, and the 4 days we're in the office, we're using the hub and spoke concept. So a scoot down to Decatur is an evening trip. That's it. So literally in those 3 days, we are on the road, swinging. We spent 2 weeks southern Iowa. Last weekend it was northwest corner of Iowa, Pocahontas, Storm Lake, Crawford County, Plymouth County, Sioux County, maybe one more. And next weekend we are along the river, East Coast, and trying to rejuvenate the union rank and file vote. So that's the plan. Sir, you can't win in this. So most people would say, don't concentrate on all those counties that don't have a lot of Democrats. Ask Fred Hubble about that. Fred Hubble will tell you, the first thing he said to me, work them all, Franken. Because everybody has family in those other counties. We all have somebody back there, and we communicate. So what I'd like to ask all of you is, if you're in agreement generally with me, I think we can win this, and I think we can. I can talk to the numbers if you so desire. We've worked this through in intricate detail. I'm a physics person, so numbers matter in my life. To share on social media what your thoughts are. Do the web concept of pushing this on others, on family or friends networks. This works. Okay? Yes, sir. Mr.
What will you bring to agriculture?
Agriculture. What will I bring to agriculture? I think Iowa is in the catbird seat on a couple of areas. Now, it is not incorrect to say that the manner in which we've drifted into agriculture has done a disservice to our water. We've created a situation where Iowa pig farmers in particular, let me step back a little bit. I remember distinctly when we used to mine bauxite in West Africa, ship the ore with just a railroad just ran from the port to the mine, ship the ore to Venezuela to use their power and pollute their air, took the ingots, people know what I'm talking about here, brought the ingots to Houston for fine manufacturing of aluminum. Interestingly, our farming, we've created herdsmen for Chinese and Brazilian entities. The extractive economic model reverse is use our water, use our topsoil, use our corn, use our feed, stink our air, export it. And we're at the whims of government largesse to work that profit margin, which is being controlled by large corporate entities. Now you can complain about that, but the farmer will agree. We need a resurgence of agriculture in this state. I don't believe pumping CO2 through pipelines to some distant places is a winner. Making a mistake, folks. You can't justify it to the voters, to the environmentalists, that you're using an industry that has a farm bill sustenance behind it, and then also to pay a private company with taxpayers. I mean, it's double indemnity of a subsidy. Farming, I believe we've got a great opportunity to grow more people food, keep the warm, heated, CO, carbon-rich environments here to grow more people food in grow houses. Talk about the energy grid. As I said, I'm an engineer. I love the fact too that we have wind, solar, and ethanol as a fill-in fuel source for our energy grid. And there's a whole truck chain associated with utilizing the various byproducts and potentially different source products for ethanol. We have the ability to change agriculture in this state and ultimately be the breadbasket that Salinas Valley used to be. Let them grow almonds. We really can't do that, but we can grow anything else here.
Eminent domain.
Well, forget about the eminent domain. That's just not going to work. Eminent domain for a private company, you don't want to go down that road. This has created substantial bedfellows across the party lines that are very, very strong. Trust me, I get calls from my high school friends. Franken, you got to be for this pipeline. You got to do it. You got to do it. Gents, females that I rode the school bus with. I can't do that. It's just not winnable. It's a bad plan. We got to find something else to do with this. Not exercise eminent domain for private coffers. What? It's Maddie's way of telling me, A, I go on too long, and it's time to go. Yes, sir.
With January 6th, they found out that a great majority of the people there were either current or past military members. How do we know that the ultra-right, I don't know, whatever term you want to call them, white nationalists, etc., have tried to recruit and infiltrate military and law enforcement. How do we get back to ensure that our military is for the Constitution, not a single person or not a single movement?
So the question has to do with the inordinate number. Actually, the number was around 6% or so that were former military, maybe a little higher. And that is a problem, because we're supposed to be more clear of mind. I will say that in the active duty ranks, there's less of that. There's a little bit more of it in the National Guard and Reserve side. Let that linger there. But it's a problem, and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff is addressing this. We are doing stand downs. We are looking at social media. We are using peer pressure. But I will say that there's a covey of individuals in specific services who come in with this predilection to be a member of that entity. And it's still happening. A young man who was my son's roommate in college just finished basic, and he said that indeed there's a high percentage that have that thought process. Even some in the ranks, in uniform, talking about pro-Putin perspectives. I can't tell you exactly what we're doing, but we have a tendency in the military to be leaders versus followers. And we were the first ones to push equal rights for gay, lesbian, etc. We were the first ones we have military hospitals that abide by women's choice. We are on the forefront of progressive thought. This too will pass, but it requires constant vigilance. Sorry. I'm not expressly worried about this. But I'm mindful of it.
Thank you.
So, one more, short one. Eddie. Sir.
Well, the national theme of the Republicans for some time has been that Democrats have been soft on crime. That was clearly evident in the hearings of this past week with Ketanji Brown Jackson's hearings. And it came after the Floyd incident 2 years ago, and it's been a theme that's been top to bottom Republican anti-Democrat candidates. Soft on crime.
So, how do we reverse the mantra that Democrats are soft on crime, which is a fallacy? So, I would expect that the assault on the Capitol is a one-off for the Republicans, and I would think that they would step aside from any other accusations that the proliferation of firearms as done by the Republican Party as a foundational concept, including our senator, who I believe knows nothing about proper ownership of firearms and knows nothing about the threat of the type of firearms that are purchased down the street that are not legal for hunting at all. You realize a .556 round is not authorized for hunting in the state of Iowa, with the exception of coyote or bobcat. And I've never known a person in Iowa, and I grew up with firearms from a wee age, my entire adult life, to hunt for either one of those animals in the state of Iowa. Yet we buy them with remarkable frequency. That is a firearm that's designed to kill Homo sapiens. End of discussion. This is a woman issue, more so than men. Because in a number of men who use that firearm to commit suicide, or their basic 9mm, leaves the woman oftentimes in the family structure holding the bag, or the person most likely secondary to get shot by that firearm is the spouse. Third is a family member, again with the spouse holding the bag. When we got one death and one going to jail, it goes on and on. Republicans don't want to talk about that, and the NRA definitely doesn't want to talk about it. I'm not going to take your gun away, but I demand responsible firearm. And that is an issue that causes police to be frightened. We all remember when police used to stop us for speeding. Of course, it never happened to me growing up. How they'd walk up to your car like this. Hi, how you doing? Stand in front of your mirror and have a conversation with you. Versus today, they're scared, as they should be. This is a manifestation of the Republican pro-firearm regardless. I was in Nevada a few years back for giggles in Winnemucca. I walked into a gun store and I said, hey, I like that. That's a good price. May I see? All I need is an address there, sir. I'm not from Nevada. Staying someplace, right? This is Nevada. Followed soon by 50-some deaths and 300-some injuries from a hotel window. You want to be safe? You want a safer society? Litigate the ever-living hell out of situations like that. Everybody involved. So that it becomes so onerous to entities that they demand, from a monetary perspective, that we change as a society. That will change. I'm not taking away your firearm. I'm asking you to be a responsible firearm owner. Regarding crime, I believe in the courts. When you get an affidavit to appear, all the Democrats I know appear. I mean, this is pretty basic. We are the civil responsibility party. We are. And steal that back from that nonsense, that oddity that we've been listening to. This whole business of flag, cross, patriotism, POW, I was the director of that organization. Half you people have no idea about that. And I call them on it. Steel-jawed, principled, pragmatic, pointed conversations to win this election. Again, Senator, 3 representatives going to Washington, D.C., and we've got a great chance, much more so than most people think, at the governor's seat. Line up and let's get on here.
Right.
Iowans deserve a smarter governor. Thanks for the cue card. Okay, thank you very much. Gotta run. So thank you for being brave Democrats and seeding this state for a better representation in the next generation. Thank you all.
I wanted to quickly ask Tom Corriere and Rose Rollenhagen and our state chair to come up. I just wanted to get a photo of us with our officers here quickly. And then we're going to move on to hearing from some of our other state candidates who weren't able to be here that sent videos. You will get to meet Dr. Glenn Hurst tomorrow, if you would like to go to his event, it's at City Church of Ames, and that is tomorrow from 2 to 4. We more than likely have a spot for you on our central committee. I'm going to send out the agenda for our next meeting, which they're always the last Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. They're currently via Zoom, and then probably next month I will have it at the library. You can still try to Zoom in. We've found that it doesn't really work very well if you're doing some people in person, some people Zoom, but we can try it. So I will send you that link, and I encourage you all to come, and we can vote you onto the Central Committee if that's something that you're interested in doing. And if you are on the Central Committee, please come to the meeting. Okay, so I'm going to play videos of people who were not able to be with us. First off, I'm going to start with Ryan Melton, who is our 4th District candidate. Let's see if I can get this to play here. I think it should work. Oh, you turn it up.
Ryan Melton, Party candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives here in the 4th District. I'm a 37-year-old father of 2, a husband, and I run a team of 20 insurance professionals at a Fortune 100 company here in central Iowa. I earned my bachelor's degree in history and political science from Iowa State University, and a master's degree in U.S. history from Kansas University. I'm running to defend democracy, and that defending is needed now more than ever. Democracy is so important to preserve and protect because it's the mechanism through which people that need help the most can get it. And I want to be their advocate. I want to advocate for parents who need more affordable and accessible childcare. I want to advocate for our public school teachers who are seeing dwindling paychecks and dwindling respect paid to them in our state and federal legislatures. I want to keep public money in public schools because our public schools are the great equalizer for our kids. I want to do my part to make sure that the successes we see in our ag sector right now are sustainable long term by proposing federal policy that makes sure that we're doing whatever we can to protect our precious topsoil while also reducing the impacts we're seeing from environmental and water pollution. I want to do what I can to revitalize the 4th District. Most of the counties in our state have seen dwindling populations for the past number of decades, and there are things we can do to turn that around. I want to push back against this acceptance that tax policy is simply designed to make the wealthy wealthier and the poor poorer. I want to push back against the victory laps that our Republican thought leaders and politicians are on right now, celebrating the fact that they're taking away resources that are vital to filling all the gaps we have. I'm going to run a campaign of putting people first. I'm going to run on sustainability, balance, and common sense. So join me. You can find me at meltonforiowa.com. Find me at Melton for Iowa, the 4 spelled out, on Facebook, and also Melton for Iowa on Twitter. In that case, Melton for the number 4 Iowa on Twitter. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you on the camping trail.
Next, I'm going to play Abbie Finkenauer because she was not at our last event. I want to make sure that.
Hey everybody, former Congresswoman Abbie Finkenauer here, and so good to, well, I guess virtually see you at your county convention, and just thank you for coming out, for all that you do, and for never giving up on the future of Iowa and this country. I know it's said a lot that, every year this is the most important election, but 2022 means everything. Quite frankly, it is part of why I am running, and makes me very proud to stand here and say, I am Abbie Finkenauer, and I am running for United States Senate because Iowa, our country, and democracy are worth fighting for. And also, I think you'd all agree with me, I think 47 years in Washington, D.C. is just too damn long for anybody. So it is time that we replace Senator Chuck Grassley, and we make sure that we elect someone from Iowa who won't forget who they fight for and why they're there in the first place. And folks, the way that I grew up here in Iowa, I never will. Look, the reality is I grew up in a small town a little bit north of Dubuque called Sherrill. It's got more cows than people. My dad was a union pipe fitter welder. My mom was a public school secretary. And I was taught at a very young age that if you work hard, you're supposed to be able to make it. And yet, time and again, I started seeing that promise being broken to my friends, my family, and my neighbors. It is why, at the age of 24, I stepped up and ran for State House out of Dubuque because I knew that there was work to do for the future of this state. And I knew we had to have young people at the table willing to do that work, willing to fight for the future of our state when we saw so many of, again, my own friends start to move away because they were losing opportunity here. During those 4 years serving as a state representative, I will tell you, we were in quite a few battles for the future of our state. Whether that was them going after women and our health care, whether it was going after our environment, whether it was them going after our public education system, or working families like the one that I grew up in, I knew we had work to do, and I knew that this was not how we treated people in my state or in my country. It is why at the age of 28, I stood up and decided to run for Congress. And I remember, gosh, when I decided to do that, there were folks across the state and across the country thinking, how is this girl who's 28 years old going to take on a guy who could write himself $500,000 checks to his campaign, and he did. But I knew Iowa. I knew that if we got out there and we talked to each other, we reminded each other of our values and who we are. Are we people who step up for each other, or are we not? That we could not only just win the congressional seat, we could take back the U.S. House of Representatives. And folks, that's what we did. And I knew as soon as I got there that there was going to be a target on my back, that folks were coming after us because of the fact that we stood up for Iowans and we were not afraid to take on the big corporations who tried to screw us. So off we went within the first 2 weeks, passing bills. Actually, the first bill was a bipartisan one, creating more opportunities in rural Iowa for our small businesses. And we just kept getting the work done. We passed a bill lowering prescription drug prices. We passed a bill fighting for the best rural infrastructure we've ever had. We addressed child care, affordability, accessibility, and quality, because all three mattered. And yet, we kept running into roadblocks. And those roadblocks began in the United States Senate. Because we had somebody there, like Senator Grassley, who was more obsessed to holding on to power that he was opposing anything that moved us forward. It was then that I knew that we had to beat the guy. We had to make sure that we had a United States Senator there willing to step up, again, for the families like I grew up in and your family as well. There is so much here, folks. This guy can be beat. The more and more we learned about his record, the more and more we know we can beat him. The reality is he walks around our state like he is Mr. Rural America, but we've lost 30,000 family farms since he's been elected to office. Since the last time he was elected, he voted 12 times to try to take away your health care. And folks, he will do it again. But it's not enough to just talk about who he's become and why we must beat him. It's about the future. It's about making sure that we have in Iowa where you can drink clean water, you can breathe clean air, you can send your kids to school and know that they're going to have a great public education. It's about making sure that, God forbid, you get sick. You're not afraid you're going to lose your job if you take time off. It's about making sure that your kids can find and have good quality care, and you're not going to go broke as they get it. This is the stuff, folks. It's not always the most exciting, but it's the stuff that shows up in Iowa and in this country. It is what I have always fought for, and it was what it will make me, again, so honored to get to be your next United States Senator. So please, please, please stay involved. Go to AbbieFinkenauer.com. We would love to have you part of the team. Folks, we have to do this, and you have my word. I will do everything I can to get it done. Let's go win. Thank you.
Okay, Joel Miller, because he has not been able to attend either of our more recent events, so we'll make sure to get him in. He sent a video.
Hi everyone, I'm Joel Miller, Democratic candidate for Iowa Secretary of State. I grew up on a dairy farm just north of Independence, Iowa. I'm a veteran of the United States Army, former union member, and I've been the Linn County Auditor Commission of Elections since 2007. Why am I running? I'm running to make voting easy again. 2016, we had 40 days of early voting. Now, we have 20. That's just not enough time. In the last election, 296 people missed the deadline to request an FC ballot, and 145 of those people did not vote. We can't have that happen in November 2022. I'm running to make elections fair again. One FC ballot drop box per county is not fair. We need to allocate drop boxes by population, not county. Let's make it fair. We all know the post office has slowed down. People are going to use those absentee ballot drop boxes now more than ever. We need to restore leadership to the Secretary of State's office. The current secretary stood by, did nothing when the election legislation was going through last year, sat on his hands, didn't say a word. He's supposed to advocate for the voter, not sit on his hands. What's all this add up to? A coordinated attack on Iowans' right to vote. I took the fight to Trump in 2020 when I issued pre-filled FC ballot request forms to voters. I was trying to keep voters safe and election workers safe. I took the fight to Paul Pate in 2021 when I issued him a technical infraction for corrupting county-wide voter registration databases throughout the state. I took the fight to the Republican legislature when they said we couldn't mail out absentee ballot request forms. I printed them in a county-wide newspaper. It went to over 80,000 households in Linn County, and people used it. I'm Joel Miller. I'm running for Secretary of State to make voting easy again, to make elections fair again, to restore leadership, and to put voters first again. Thank you. Now let's get to work making voting easy again.
Okay, John Norwood sent one also. The other ones that you see on here, these are ones that I had pulled from our soup supper, and I had intended to just play them if we were going to have contested balloting where there would be a lot of downtime counting ballots. I'm not going to play ones the people that you were able to see at the soup supper, and those are available on our website. If you just go to storydems.org where it says videos, you can watch all those past ones. So I'm just going to play Norwood's because this is one that he sent specifically for the convention.
My name is John Norwood, and I am running for Secretary of Agriculture here in the great state of Iowa. I believe we need a new vision for Iowa agriculture that's built on the tremendous productivity of our 23 million acres of corn and bean grounds, that is based on resiliency and sustainability, diversification, and profitability. It's a tremendous system, but it's a system that's out of balance. It's not a system that's built to last. I want to help us find and chart a path forward that provides new opportunities and new options. We need to honor and support the system which got us to where we are today, but we need to also begin to diversify. And diversification to me means more choice, more options, really more freedom. Freedom to do the things you want to do in a way that benefits us all. I hope you will join me in that effort to create this new vision. New vision for how we work together, how we bring urban and rural together, and we create a healthy Iowa that, regardless of the county in which you live, each is a great place to live, a great place to raise children, and a great place to own and run a business.
Okay, so the conclusion of our business is to ratify all of the elections that we held at this convention. So there's a motion on the table to approve and ratify all of the elections.
All right, all those in favor of ratifying, say aye. Aye. Ayes have it.
Okay, is there any other new business that anybody would like to bring before the convention? Okay, hearing none, I am going to adjourn. Please look in your emails. You need to keep an eye out so that you will get the information that you need for the next convention if you are moving on as a delegate or a committee member. Most likely that will come from Evan Berger as the credentials chair for district. If you are members of various committees, those will come from individual chairs of MARC platform. I'm chair of the arrangements committee. Evan is going on to be chair of the credentials committee. I'm not sure who this district rules committee will be. I think it might be Penny, who is the District 4 Central Committee chair. So just be watching for those. Please come to our next Central Committee member, and thank you all for coming. I appreciate you all. Have a good day.